Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to give my review of Blue Giant by Shinichi Ishizuka. This is a 7 Seas release. Yes. These are 2-in-1 omnibuses, so it's 10 volumes total within these 5 omnibuses. And this is the original series. Now, Blue Giant has another several spin-off series. I think there's a second spin-off, which is also 10 volumes, and then another spin-off off of that one that is, or not spin-off, but like a sequel, I guess. And there's another one that is, I believe, still ongoing in Japan. So this is a pretty popular series in Japan, as far as I'm aware, and it's been going on for quite a while. So 7 Seas licensed this. I don't know if we have a license for the sequel series or not. If we do, I will definitely be picking it up. If we don't, I'm happy that this was released. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And it definitely does leave off on a little bit of a cliffhanger because the intention is to continue the story in the sequel. So, it doesn't have a, completely clean break sort of ending if we don't end up getting more of it. But this was a fun one. And if you like music manga, then definitely pick this one up. Our main character is Dai. He is a high school student at the beginning of the series, and he just kind of is going about life, but he's not feeling really passionate about much of anything until he gets a saxophone, like a really nice saxophone from, I think it's a family member or something. And he just decides that he's going to be the best jazz player in the world, or jazz musician. So he starts practicing on this riverbank, and he lives in Sendai. And so every day after school, all hours of the day that he is not in school, he is on the riverbank practicing playing the saxophone, and he's horrible at it. He's just playing it. He doesn't know how to read music. He doesn't know anything about music. He's just screeching into this instrument and playing it and feeling passion, which I feel so bad for anybody who lives near there and had to overhear that all the time. But anyway, he ends up getting a music sort of mentor who sees something in him. And this first part of the series is basically the ups and downs of this kid trying to make a name for himself and trying to, live off of his music. And I think there's some really poignant kind of themes in this of, passion and hard work and grit and just like really, really devoting yourself to something, even though you're kind of bad at it. And that, through hard work and practice, there is a potential that you can become good. But if you don't have that drive to continue learning, then, you're not going to get anywhere. There's certainly people who are just very talented at music, who really don't need as much instruction as Dai does. But, through some mentorships of some other older people who see something in him, he's able to kind of progress his skill level to something that, as the series goes on, people really, really gravitate towards. And, his dream of being the best jazz musician also comes along with wanting other people to know the greatness of jazz, what he sees in it, because a lot of young people don't really appreciate it. And so he's like, this is something so cool and like awesome that I want other people to know about. And so, he's trying to bring in a younger audience and really show people how amazing jazz is through his passion and for playing the saxophone. And so, yeah, it starts off with him in high school, and then he kind of progresses. He gets a bit older, and because I believe he's in his final year of high school at the beginning, and then it goes on to, him in his young adulthood and trying to make a name for himself and a living. So it's pretty like, I don't know, it's a little like kind of roll your eyes a bit because this kid is like, I'm going to be the best. And then you basically have like not flashback, they're like kind of flash forwards of interviews. Like as you meet characters, they're like being interviewed and talking about the time period in which this series takes place of like his beginning days. And based on these interviews that clearly he does become a really prolific musician. And these people who we're meeting currently in the series are years down the line reflecting on the time that they knew him, and what a pleasure it was to know him at this time, at the beginning stages of his career and whatever, right? So it's a little like, I don't know, you kind of roll your eyes a bit and you're like a little self-indulgent of, we're just being told over and over that this guy is the greatest. And then we're just kind of watching the story progress from the beginning point of when he first gets the saxophone to, I'm presuming, that the current ongoing series is at a point where he's much further into his adulthood and he's really kind of thriving in the music scene. But for now, these first 10 volumes really focus on the struggle of a young musician trying to make ends meet, doing what they love. And, I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I think that trying to make a living off of a passion is really difficult. And that's what kind of really gripped me about this. And I found myself getting emotional at certain parts of this, of like, not just about him, but some of the people that he's working with, and like the band that they form and their different personalities, and trying to convey what they're trying to convey with their music and trying to find their footing, and like, being told you're not good enough and just being flat out told like, no, you're not going to make it in this industry. Whereas somebody else, the next person comes along and just thinks that you're the most magnificent thing they've ever seen, or heard in this case. And like, it's really, I found it really touching. I really did. I read the first omnibus when I first bought it. I had pre-ordered this, and then I pre-ordered the rest of them and had them all and didn't read them. And then all of a sudden one day I sat down and read all 4 of the other omnibuses in one sitting. And yeah, it was just a really beautiful story that I quite enjoyed. There is a slight hint of romance, but really not much, because this series is very heavily focused on what he's focused on, which is music. And, we see that his relationships do sort of suffer a little bit. But he's the type of guy that, like, if you're passionate about it, like, he's willing to give you a chance, because that's what he is. He's just passionate about it. He didn't know anything about music or jazz or anything to begin with. And he just, like, decided that he, wanted to be good at it and was going to be good at it. And put in so many hours of playing that and learning that he's kind of found his footing a bit. But at this point in the series, he still has a long way to go. Anyway, I think I've rambled enough. The artwork in this is quite stunning. I really, really like the art. I think there's a lot of really cool scenes. The nature as well is quite good. Or like the backgrounds and things. There's a reasonable amount of text in here too, so it's definitely not like the fastest read, but I really think that these editions are gorgeous. Like, this blue on black is just stunning. These look awesome on the shelf, and yeah, I'm just happy that we got this. I really wish we would get Kids on the Slope. That would be great. Because that's another, jazz-centered situation. I think that the music scenes in this too are pretty, like, cool looking. It's a lot of, like, sound effects and just, like, really fast kind of motion and whatnot, because they're trying to portray, obviously, that his fingers are moving really quickly on the instrument. But doing it in a still photo is pretty difficult. So, but yeah, you can even see on the cover like the drumsticks moving and stuff like that too. Like the motion, the range of motion and the movement that's portrayed is pretty cool. So yeah, anyway, I do recommend Blue Giant. If you really, really, really don't like music manga, then like you're probably not gonna like this. But if anything that I've said kind of piqued your interest a little bit, then I do recommend picking this up. I think it was a lot of fun and definitely it made me cry a couple times actually. And I was left feeling at the end of it with like this hopeful sadness. Um, I just stuff like this really gets to me. Just really, it's like coming of age stories where people are passionate about things. It really gets me. So yeah, like I said, if we get the other installments, I will definitely pick them up. But if not, I'm glad we have this one at least, and this is definitely something I'll reread in the future. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you have anything else similar you'd like to recommend, please do. I would say I was reading Beck, Mongolian Chop Squad, which is what got me in the mood to read the rest of this, because I was reading that one and I was like, music, this is great. And it has a reasonably similar vibe. And so I was like, well, I'll pick up Blue Giant because I have volumes of that to read. So anyway, I would say, yeah, if you like this, pick up Beck, because that one's reasonably similar and cool and just, fun. But anyway, thanks for watching.